When people talk about iconic Pokemon, there are a few that immediately come to mind. Pikachu, Mewtwo, and of course, Charizard. Charizard has always been one of the most popular Pokemon ever made. It's a fire-breathing dragon. Well, technically not a dragon, but you get the idea. It's powerful, it looks cool, and for years it has been one of the faces of the franchise. So, when Mega Evolutions were introduced back in Generation 6, Game Freak did something interesting. Instead of giving Charizard just one Mega Evolution like most Pokemon, they gave it two. On one side, we have Mega Charizard X, a black, blue-flamed dragon that finally gives Charizard the dragon typing people always thought it deserved. And on the other side, we have Mega Charizard Y, a more traditional upgrade that leans into Charizard's role as a devastating special attacker. Both of these forms have seen competitive play in the past, and with Mega Evolutions expected to return in Pokemon Champions, it raises an interesting question. Which Charizard will actually be better? To answer that, we first have to look at what each Mega Evolution actually does. Let's start with Mega Charizard Y. Mega Charizard Y is built around one thing, Sun. Its ability, Drought, automatically summons harsh sunlight when it enters the field. This immediately boosts fire-type attacks by 50%, which already makes Charizard's fire moves incredibly threatening. But the Sun does something else that's arguably even more important. It weakens water-type attacks. Normally, Charizard's Fire Flying type gives it a pretty scary water weakness, but with Sun active, water attacks are cut in half. This doesn't completely remove the weakness, but it definitely helps Charizard survive situations where it otherwise might not. And once the Sun is up, Mega Charizard Y becomes extremely difficult to switch into. Fire-type attacks in the Sun hit absurdly hard. Moves like Heat Wave or Overheat can chunk huge portions of opposing teams, especially in a doubles format like VGC, where spread damage matters a lot. Defensively, Mega Charizard Y is also surprisingly solid. It has decent bulk and enough offensive pressure that opponents can't really afford to ignore it. Now, Charizard still does have weaknesses. Rock-type attacks are the big one. Charizard has a 4 times weakness to Rock, which can obviously be a problem. But interestingly enough, Rock actually isn't the most common offensive type in competitive play. There are Rock moves floating around, but there usually aren't that many prominent Rock-type Pokemon dominating the format. Electric types are another concern, but here's where things get interesting. Electric types are hit neutrally by fire attacks, and in the Sun, Charizard Y's fire moves hit incredibly hard. So if something like an electric type tries to challenge Charizard directly, there's a good chance it just gets blasted by a Sun-boosted attack. Because of all this, Mega Charizard Y tends to fit very naturally onto offensive teams. In particular, it works really well on Tailwind compositions. If Charizard gets the speed advantage from Tailwind while also having the Sun active, it becomes extremely difficult to stop before it takes multiple knockouts. And perhaps most interestingly, Charizard Y doesn't need that much help. It sets its own weather, boosts its own damage, and immediately pressures the opponent as soon as it hits the field, which brings us to the other Charizard. Mega Charizard X is very different from Char Y. Instead of focusing on weather, Char X changes Charizard itself. When it Mega Evolves, it becomes a Fire and Dragon type. This change alone dramatically alters how the Pokemon interacts with the rest of the field. For one thing, the Dragon typing removes Charizard's weaknesses to Electric and to Water. That's a pretty big deal defensively. It also changes how Charizard deals damage. Dragon is a very neutral offensive typing, meaning it hits a lot of Pokemon for solid damage, even if it isn't super effective. And stat-wise, Mega Charizard X leans more toward physical offense and physical bulk compared to Charizard Y. This makes it easier to use defensively. It can take hits a little better and stick around on the field longer. Another interesting aspect of Mega Charizard X is that it can function as a mixed attacker. Because its stats are solid on both the physical and the special side, Charizard X can run physical sets, special sets, or even mixed movesets depending on what a team needs. That flexibility can be very useful. It makes it harder for opponents to immediately know how they should respond to it. However, there is a bit of a trade-off here. Mega Charizard X doesn't really provide the same immediate value that Charizard Y does. Charizard Y enters the field and it instantly sets the Sun. That alone changes the pace of the game. Charizard X, on the other hand, mostly just becomes a stronger version of Charizard. It doesn't create the same kind of immediate team-wide advantage. This means it usually needs more support in order to really shine. So if both of these forms return in Pokemon Champions, which one will actually be better? Right now, Mega Charizard Y looks like the safer bet. The biggest reason is simply the Sun. Weather is extremely powerful in competitive Pokemon, especially when a Pokemon can set it automatically with an ability like Drought. Mega Charizard Y not only benefits from the Sun itself, but it can also support other Pokemon that enjoy playing in Sun teams. On top of that, its stat spread is very focused. High special attacks, strong fire moves, and enough bulk to stay in the field while dealing massive damage. It's a Pokemon that can immediately impact the game without requiring a ton of support. Mega Charizard X, while definitely strong, tends to be a little more reliant on team structure. It doesn't bring weather, terrain, or any kind of immediate field effect. Instead, it's more of a flexible attacker that needs the right positioning and support to really take over a game. That doesn't mean Charizard X will be bad. Its defensive typing, physical bulk, and mixed attacking potential could absolutely make it viable in the right format. But if we're talking about which one is more likely to consistently perform well at a competitive level, Mega Charizard Y probably has the edge. Because at the end of the day, setting the sun and firing off ridiculously strong fire attacks is just a very reliable game plan. And historically, reliable game plans tend to win tournaments. So when Mega Evolutions come back in Pokemon Champions, don't be surprised if we start seeing a lot of Sun teams built around Mega Charizard Y. But hey, competitive Pokemon has surprised us before, and sometimes the coolest Pokemon ends up finding a way to win anyways. Thank you for watching.